Welcome back. We're moving away from Equatorial Guinea to South Africa, where Jacob Zuma is dealing with quite a lot of trouble. First, he has, as against Equatorial Guinea, he has some very vocal opposition members who are arguing literally that he should be booted out of office. And one of the things that is raising so much dust is the fact that they're about to buy him a private jet worth 4 billion rand. And this just after that whole issue with his country home in Kandla that they have finally, they're finally coming to resolution on.
First and foremost, I will want to disagree on two issues. First is that it's not that he's facing so many troubles. You can actually put a self-cutted trouble. Because South Africa today has been a kind of a shining light when it comes to democratic setting.
The success of democracy, isn't it? Yeah.
But when the likes of Jacob Zuma now gets to position and you're now seeing South Africa a step forward, 2 steps backward, you need to ask, where exactly is that egalitarian society? South Africa has had its own fair share of bitterness, as far as the entrenchment of democracy is concerned, the apartheid and Mandela's incarceration and the likes. And when a new South Africa was birthed, as far as in 1994, we all believed that, well, it's now an El Dorado. But looking at Jacob Zuma now, it's a kind of mentality which I would not want to agree that is very, very equivalent to all our leaders. But then, we're talking about Equatorial Guinea, we're talking about those who passed as our presidents in Nigeria. We're talking about Jacob Zuma now. That settles the fact that it's not a trouble that was foisted on him, it was self-cutted. That's number one. Number two is the fact that Jacob Zuma himself does not even have a very strong opposition from the opposition. You would remember about 2013, 2014, the youth leader of the ANC was sacked. All just because he was so vocal about the bogus expenses of the president, going from marrying 1 wife to 2 to 3 to 4, and giving every one of them a space in the government, packing all of them on the expenses of the government, So with that, it's a kind of leeway for the opposition to come in. And he's not also doing so well. What we as a people, as African, would say is that South Africa for today is, I pray that it does not relapse to what it was before.
It's the worry that I have to say a lot of people have. Even within South Africa, there's a lot of unrest. All of a sudden, this talk about, okay, yes, apartheid might be over, but there are still many ways in which our lives are segregated. People are frustrated. We're seeing riots again. We're seeing xenophobic attacks on the rise.
Minors protest every now and then.
So it seems like there is a lot of anger, there's a lot of dissatisfaction. People want him to account for what he's doing in government. They don't feel he's being progressive. It feels like a very angry country.
Being angry, in Equatorial Guinea, for instance, the whole structure has been muffed up. But in South Africa, there's still some level of consciousness with the citizens, and there's still some basic amenities working, which would make people to feel like, yes, we can agitate. So with that, they have the buffer to start to push him those questions. The onus now lies on him. And whosoever finds himself in government, to know that you either belong to a society where everyone of them are docile, it may be handmade, it may be natural, or man-made, where the government will make everybody docile, or a situation like South Africa where they have a very conscious electorate. They have you can see when the xenophobic attack started, it's not like Nigeria actually mopped up the whole job. You understand? It's because it's becoming strenuous for even a citizen to earn a living. And they will be looking for a place to place that anger on, and they feel like, well, Nigerians,
you guys are the 170
million, you have every resources, yet you come to South Africa, you dominate us. So they were able to get that anger on us. But the thing is, the system is bad. And I want to say the earlier for Jacob Zuma to do the needful, the better for South Africa and indeed Africa.
What is the needful?
The needful is for him to come out and be transparent enough, let government expenses be seen by all, and even lower the cost of governance. Having a palatial building after the presidential palace, given
You know what, Rashid? If we get into the talk of that palatial building and the security upgrades, we'll probably be here till tomorrow. But One last question. We're about ready to go on break.
Okay.
What do you think is a lesson for the rest of Africa?
Well, the lesson is what we've been learning right from the advent of the British rulers. You know, they foisted us together. They made us believe that we are one, yet we deviated a little bit, even not minding the fact that it was orchestrated by them.
Yeah.
But then much after when they left, we were saddled with the responsibility of governing ourselves. We are thinking that years over, we ought to have come around and see that, okay, if these people have foisted this thing on us, let us rework it and let us forge ahead. But today,
we can rework it.
We can.
I think it's late.
It can happen. It can happen. I am telling you as a matter of fact. So, for Nigeria, South Africa, Equatorial Guinea, the earlier those leaders know that for whatever is meant, look at the $700 million dollars attached in US. It's meant for the US.
But I have to say, Rashid, that's one, again, is another issue that if we start talking about it, we'll be here till tomorrow.
The import is that they should be wary of the fact that the home will always be the home, irrespective of whatever they might have as ideology.
For their personal
let them develop home, because take it or leave it, you run a repressive regime, you run a liberal regime, a day will be a day that people will stand up.
That's actually a very good note to round this out. Rashid, you're a very fiery somebody, actually. I'm looking forward to having you. You like politics, and I like politics. We're going to bring you here again. There are many topics to talk about.
I'll be here.
But thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
And for your opinions and for sharing your very, I like your perspective. I understand where you're coming from.
Thank you so much.
Guys, another quick break. We'll be right back.